Shayne Fox. You're nominated for an Emmy for production design for a narrative program, Half Hour, for your work on What We Do in the Shadows. Now, this is your second Emmy nomination for the show, but your first as a production designer. Previously, you were nominated for the show as a set decorator. So does this recognition mean something different this time around?
Yes, it's totally hit different. It feels, to be the production designer and to get that nomination recognition, it just feels different. It's more cool.
And you're nominated for the episode The Night Market, where the characters visit the title marketplace, that serves supernatural creatures. It's such a vast space, the way it appears on screen. Like, how long did it take to create that overall, would you say?
The actual install, once we knew what we were doing and how to plan and had agreed on all the elements, it took over a month. For our little show, our 22-minute little show, that's a long time for us. Once we came to the decision of how we're going to approach it, I think the set decoration team had something like 18 50-foot trailers full of set decoration, just a lot of stuff. So it just took them days and days and days just to unload the trailers and to lay everything out, and we could see what needed to go to paint, what needed to be modified, how we were going to rig it all. It was also tricky figuring out the subway car bit. We actually brought in, I think like 2 cars of a subway train into our location there, and had to work out how to build a platform for it and how to move it. It was just not very straightforward. You get a sense of the scope of the space when you see the subway car actually looks kind of small in there. So it's just a funny element. But yeah, we sort of, my approach to that set was to build a skeletal system that all these booths could be built upon or built from, instead of choosing to design each setup, each section, each booth of the night market. We built a skeletal structure of uprights and cross pieces and bases and flame bowls, and we built these cocoon lanterns, and they all kind of interconnected, and everything was sort of to work together to build the structure. So we could have, go 16 feet high, so everything wasn't really low, because the ceiling in there was, I don't know, a couple 100 feet high at least. So that was that. Yeah, it took a while, and to get all the lighting and everything, all the rigging, and making sure all the stunts were set up and everything was safe. So for us, that was one of our biggest time-consuming, most hands on deck, most truckloads of stuff set up that the show's really ever done.
And where did you construct the night market? Because obviously, as you mentioned, you need all the space and creating this scope.
So there is this derelict large building in Toronto on the east side here, that it's a big old warehouse. It was once some sort of hydro something. I'm not exactly sure what its real history is, but it's just an immense space, and it's very cool, and it offers a lot of texture, and there's already a vibe in there that we just ran with and built upon.
Now the whole location looks pretty seamless. Is it mostly practical builds, or were visual effects incorporated to like extend the builds or enhance anything?
For the most part, it's practical. I think there was a tiny bit of visual effects to help with the stunts, to just hide all our sins. When Guillermo crashes into the foreman's trailer that I put there, it didn't have a ceiling, but there's a shot from above looking down, and they just put a CGI ceiling in, so we didn't want to see our crash mats in our boxes that he was actually hitting, or that they fell into. We built walls, and we built a lot of like elements of the fun stuff for set dressing to be on, but we brought in cars, and like I say, the subway. I don't know if it read as if it was real in the episode, like the subway car was real, but it was. So yeah, a lot of large objects went into this really large space, and not much fixing in post.
And there's so much happening in that night market for 1 half-hour episode. Were there were there elements that you liked that you couldn't accommodate, or things that had to be cut for time, or just stuff that you just couldn't fit?
There is a lot in there, like as you say, every corner, the way we shoot the show, the mockumentary style, is the camera sees 360. We see everything. I never know sometimes what parts of a set are going to be featured more when the director gets in there and starts blocking things. But so we went to town in that space, and I made sure that there were really cool elements and things everywhere. And I remember walking through with Yana, our director, Yana Goriskaya, and just showing her all the things, like, make sure you capture this. Oh, and over here you got this. And I know you've got to make the scene make sense, but like, you got to shoot this corner because this is just so amazing. So there was a lot that the camera didn't see, a lot of details, but that's just the nature of what we do,
Yeah. In general, like how much do you use like previous sets or builds to kind of create new locations for the show? And are you repurposing a lot for in general?
We try not to, because we don't want to repeat things, and we want to keep it visually interesting and surprising and fun for the audience. So sometimes we'll recycle something if it's just like a simple thing that can be repainted and repurposed. But for the most part, we try and stay away from that. By being mindful. Yeah, of course, if there's flats that we can use and just paint them and they're good to go, but nothing that's like striking and dynamic. We always want to keep reinventing and have it be interesting.
And have you brought in any elements from the night market, or stuff that you prepared for that, or and didn't use, or stuff that's in there tucked away in corners? Have any of it popped up since then in any other aspects of the show?
We don't throw anything away, and we have a huge warehouse of stuff. So yes, sometimes we'll repurpose, a coffin or repaint a chair. And there's a lot of the night market stuff is stuck in trailers, like we're holding on to it. I don't know why, for future use maybe, but not so much, not yet. It's all standing by though, at the ready.
Would you like to see like another episode potentially visit the night market, just to be able to show more of it and imagine more of it?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would feel like maybe taking a step back, wouldn't be as exciting the second time. It would be fun, but let's see what the writers come up with.
There's so much going on in that market. What were some of those, like the details or elements that maybe people might not pick up on right away, that you were especially proud of, that you thought were especially funny or creative or exciting to create?
Well, when we were coming up with what these booths were and all the separate sections, I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of interesting details and textures and things that maybe you don't necessarily see. Like we had a bookseller in there, and we built this 14-foot tall bookcase, and I wanted the books to be stacked on the shelves, but to create an image. So there was like the image of a skull just based on the colors of the book spines, so from a distance, it would look like a skull. When you get up close, you realize, oh, it's just a 14-foot tall bookcase. I think we caught that in the episode, but you may not have like clicked on it or registered. I mean, we had where Gamro and Nandor have like a sword fight. We had a blacksmith set up, and that was really fun to design, like the elements of a blacksmith station and how to make it look like you had a little crucible going with like the coals and the heat. And there's just many instances like that where we just dove into the details and hope that the camera would be close enough to get it.
Congratulations on your work on the show, on your second Emmy nomination for it. And thank you so much for talking to me about it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.